I never wanted trouble with our homeowners association. When my wife and I moved into Sunnyside Estates 6 months ago, all we wanted was a quiet place to settle down after my 20 years with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. On paper, the HOA rules seem harmless. Basic guidelines about lawn care, exterior paint colors, and holiday decorations. What the welcome brochure failed to mention was Karen Wilkins. I met her just 3 days after we moved in. She marched up my driveway wearing crisp white capri pants and a pastel cardigan, clutching a clipboard to her chest like a shield. Her bleached blonde bob didn't shift an inch in the breeze. She introduced herself with a smile that never reached her eyes. "Welcome to Sunnyside Estates. I'm Karen Wilkins, HOA president," she said in a syrupy voice while scanning my property like a crime scene. "I just want to personally inform you that your mailbox is the wrong shade of taupe. The bylaws clearly specify whether taupe 962. This appears to be desert taupe 958. You'll need to repaint it by Friday." I waited for the punchline. None came. I extended my hand. "Nice to meet you, Karen. I'm James Mitchell. The mailbox came with the house, but I'll look into it." "I see that you do," she replied, ignoring my hand entirely. "Non-compliance results in a $50 fine, which doubles every week." With that, she pivoted on her beige orthopedic sandals and marched off toward her next victim. That was my introduction to life under Karen's rule. Over the next few months, the citations piled up, grass a quarter-inch too tall, a garden hose visible from the street, a trash can left out exactly 12 minutes past the approved removal time. Every violation came with a fine, and a personal visit from Karen, who seemed to take particular pleasure in targeting my house. I stayed calm. My FBI training taught me that people like Karen thrived on confrontation. Instead, I documented everything. I photographed my property regularly, saved every notice, and recorded each interaction. Old habits die hard. That's when I noticed something troubling. Karen wasn't just strict, she was selective. She focused heavily on elderly residents, especially those living alone. Across the street lived Mrs. Rodriguez, an 82-year-old widow. I frequently saw Karen at her door, waving paperwork and pointing out minor issues. Faded trim, a stray weed, a chipped shutter. Every time, Mrs. Rodriguez looked shaken afterward. One afternoon, she confided in me, her hands trembling. She says, "I need to replace all my windows with a new approved style," she whispered. "It will cost $12,000, but she knows a contractor who will do it for $10,000 if I pay cash up front." My instincts immediately kicked in. "Did she give you anything in writing?" I asked. Mrs. Rodriguez handed me a letter on HOA letterhead. It listed the violation but used carefully crafted language, strongly recommending a specific contractor without officially mandating it. It looked official while avoiding legal responsibility. I patted her hand. "Don't worry about this right now. Let me look into it." Over the next few weeks, I discreetly spoke with other senior residents. A disturbing pattern emerged. At least 7 elderly homeowners had been pressured into expensive home modifications and directed to the same contractor. That contractor turned out to be Karen's brother-in-law. Several residents had already paid thousands in cash for work that was unnecessary, poorly done, or never completed at all. I called an old colleague at the Bureau and described the situation hypothetically. His response was immediate. This wasn't just unethical. It was fraud, potential racketeering, and elder abuse. That's when I decided it was time to attend my first HOA meeting. The meeting took place in the community center. A beige building Karen had made sure perfectly matched the approved color palette. About 20 residents sat in metal folding chairs, all looking miserable. Karen sat at the front, gavel in hand, flanked by 2 board members who appeared to be nothing more than loyal enforcers. Next on the agenda, Karen announced property violations and mandatory improvements. She began projecting photos of homes with red circles highlighting issues so minor they were barely visible. Then she pulled up Mrs. Rodriguez's house. "Structural deficiencies requiring immediate window replacement," Karen declared. I raised my hand. "Yes, Mr. Mitchell," Karen said with a tight smile. "Questions are reserved for the end." I stood, keeping my voice calm. I'm curious about the process for determining mandatory improvements. According to the bylaws, major structural changes require a board vote and community notification. Karen's smile tightened. I assure you, Karen said stiffly, forcing a smile, all procedures are being followed. We have experts who evaluate these situations. I nodded thoughtfully. Would that expert happen to be Martin Wilkins of Wilkins Home Improvements? I asked calmly. Your brother-in-law, if I'm not mistaken. The room went dead silent. Karen's face flushed red, but she recovered quickly. Martin is a certified contractor who offers our residents excellent rates. There's nothing improper about recommending quality workmanship. Recommending is one thing. I replied evenly. Falsely claiming renovations are mandatory, and threatening fines is another, especially when you're receiving kickbacks. Gasps rippled through the room. Karen slammed her gavel repeatedly. That is a slanderous accusation. This meeting is adjourned, she shouted, her composure cracking. But no one moved. Mrs. Rodriguez slowly stood, her voice shaking. Is it true? We don't actually need to replace all our windows. Other seniors joined in. Questions about roofs, driveways, siding, each story eerily similar. The room erupted into confusion and anger. I raised my voice just enough to cut through the noise. I propose a full financial audit of the HOA accounts and a review of all mandatory improvement orders from the last 3 years. One of the board members, silent until now, cleared his throat. I second that motion. I've had concerns about our financial transparency for some time. Karen looked like she might explode. You can't do this, she screeched. I've dedicated years to this community. Without me, this neighborhood would fall apart. Another resident flipped through the bylaws. Actually, we can, with a simple majority vote. The motion passed by an overwhelming margin. Karen stormed out, hurling threats of lawsuits, especially at me. But the damage was already done. Within days, a forensic accountant uncovered the truth. Karen had embezzled more than $120,000 from HOA reserve funds using fraudulent vendor contracts, mostly tied to her brother-in-law's company. Elderly residents were being targeted twice, billed through the HOA for fake repairs, while also paying cash directly for work that was unnecessary, poorly done, or never completed. I handed everything over to local authorities and stepped back. When investigators searched Karen's home office, they found documentation linking her to similar schemes in 2 previous neighborhoods. Because of the pattern and the targeting of seniors, federal charges were added. The morning of Karen's arrest was eerily quiet. Police cruisers arrived without sirens. Officers approached her door calmly. I hadn't planned to watch, but I happened to be grabbing my newspaper when they let her out in handcuffs. She spotted me across the street. You, she screamed. This is all your fault. I know my rights. Do you know who I am in this community? An officer gently guided her toward the cruiser. Ma'am, please watch your head. I built this neighborhood, she shouted. Everything I did was for property values. Her voice cracked as reality finally set in. My attorney will destroy you. I have connections. I said nothing. I just nodded politely as the car door closed. The detective who remained behind approached me afterward. Mr. Mitchell, we've frozen her assets. Preliminary findings suggest she took roughly $240,000 from seniors across 3 communities. She's facing significant federal time. As the cruiser drove away, Karen's face pressed against a rear window. Her perfectly maintained facade finally shattered. Her counterfeit kingdom had collapsed.